Good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday. We've got a fun one today. We've got some really good prep forms that got filled out with some interesting topics that everybody tends to deal with. So we're going to just get right into it. Just for those that are brand new, welcome, 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 welcome. You can come in person Tuesdays at 9. We are in person. You can be at Zoom. Try to adjust this a little close up. Yeah, you can come at the office if you would like to. You can be on Zoom. The link is in your group session program. And if you enjoy watching these replays, those are available to you all the time under the replay button. This information is yours, and it's a chance for us to get a little bit of deeper dive into program materials, as well as to answer questions that maybe don't get addressed in program, and to answer any of your protocol questions for your custom program. So we're going to do a little bit of deeper dive into the topic of exhaustion, maybe even some brain fog. I do want to talk a little bit more about infertility and why things get missed when it's coming to looking at infertility, and what my method of thinking is in that. We'll maybe get into maybe some more talk about the emotional integration panel and some nutrient targets. So those are some of the questions for today. So buckle up, grab a notebook, get your tea, whatever you're going to be drinking, and enjoy. So exhaustion. Let's start with that, because that seems to be a topic that everybody deals with, especially on these kind of rainy days. That rain just tends to bring things down sometimes, doesn't it? I'm not going to talk about exhaustion as we typically would talk about exhaustion. You hear the typical things, make sure you're eating right, make sure you're exercising, and all of those good things. But the part that I want to bring up is something we don't talk about with exhaustion. I am convinced if you are not in love with your life, you are going to feel exhausted. When we do your cell studies and we do your intake forms and we do all of the analyses that we do, of course, we look at metabolic function and we look at inflammation and we look at the capability of the cells to process nutrients and to push out waste and to create the energy that the cells know to do with everything that comes in. So of course, we're looking at the physical components of that, and we're making sure that there are not reasons why your body is so overburdened that you're exhausted. Beyond that, there are a ton of things that you can do. One of the things that we don't talk about in conventional healthcare and conventional medicine, or even just among groups of individuals, we don't talk about our concepts, our thoughts, our beliefs, our lifestyles. And I am convinced that you will tend to feel exhausted if you do not love your life. Now, you may be grateful for your life. You may be grateful for the parts in it. You may be positive thinking about it. But what I would really like to know is, are you like a child on a Saturday morning when Saturday morning cartoons come on, so excited that you jump out of bed because you're so excited about what your day holds? And I'm willing to bet that that answer is no. It does not, feeling the exhaustion and feeling drugged down by the routine of your life does not mean that you're not grateful for your life and you're not happy about everything that has come into your life. But the difference between a child and an adult feeling exhausted is that a child knows that everything is yet to come. They have no idea what is going to happen in their day. They're not routine and planned. They just know the next thing that they're going to do. Adults have gotten into a comfort box. We have routines, expectations, tasks, to-do lists. We're exhausted before we can get out of bed because the fun of life has gone away. We have let the tasks and the duties become way more priority than anything else in our life. If you have the book Rays of the Dawn, absolutely read the chapter on duty. I'm convinced that adults generally live their life in duty and people pleasing and what everybody expects of them and what they think everybody expects of them. And it's exhausting before we even get started. We don't wake up going, what will make this day awesome? What am I so looking forward to? We get up and we check our phones. We see what the expectations are right away. We see who needs us, bad ideas, all of that. I would invite you, before going to bed, to do a gratitude journal. There's reasons for gratitude. we get a chance, I'll go into gratitude and our rumination chapter. But I would write a gratitude journal because it's a good way to end the day, and it's a good way to get your mind set into a higher vibration. Then I would ask yourself the question, what's the Saturday morning cartoon of my day tomorrow? What will make tomorrow an awesome day? If I do this, this, and this, what will make my day? By the end of the day, I will feel happy. And it doesn't mean which tasks do you want to get done. It's the things that bring you joy before we create any tasks on our schedules or our routines. So for example, I really want to get a 10-mile bike ride in today. I will feel so happy if I can do that because it makes me feel good. I also want to read my book. Yeah, so I'm going to set aside a half an hour to do that because those are the things that we tend to plan in last. That's if I have enough time after work and after all the demands of people on me, then maybe I'll have time for this. And they call it self-care and to plan in your self-care. And I hate that term because self-care should be our lifestyle. We should be feeling like we care about how we feel. And we shouldn't give ourselves the last of what's available of our energy at the end of the day. Then when you wake up the next day, you already have your plan. You know when you're going to get that bike ride in. You know when you're going to read your book or whatever it is that's going to bring you joy in that day. And now you can go about your work day and your tasks knowing that you have these times set aside for the things that you want to get done, that you want to do that are going to make you feel good. I would invite you to get a little more childlike in your life. Have a little more play. We've forgotten joy. We have forgotten play. And no wonder we feel exhausted. We plan no time in for ourselves. The topic of rumination, why we talk about that, we have that in our B sessions. Rumination is no different than the paved road in your brain that you have sloughed down over all these years. So you've got a nice, smooth, tarred path in your brain of the common thoughts that you think. The nervous system is set up, as I've said before, to keep you safe. It is primarily a survival system. It is just looking for your safety and survival all the time. And the best way to do that is to make yesterday look exactly like today, because then there's no challenges. There's no energy output. There's no craziness that's going to happen. We don't have to put out any fires. So the nervous system is always going to talk to the brain like, let's make everything as common and routine as we possibly can. How joyful is that? How much lack of play is there in that? But we do it because we try to control our environment and our situations around us so that we don't have challenges. We don't expend any energy that we don't need to expend. So rumination ends up becoming a byproduct of that effort because it's easiest, it's paved. The road of what you think from day in to day out is paved. So it's easy to think those same thoughts again and again and again. I guarantee you the thoughts that you're thinking today, you've thought multiple times before. This is why I believe that gratitude is one of the best things we can do, not just for the sake of being grateful, but it's because it makes us focus our minds on the things of joy. It makes us focus our minds in a higher vibration instead of listing all of the challenges for the day or being stuck in that state of survival. If we're listing the gratitudes, we're not thinking about all the problems. And that's an excellent way to go to bed. Gratitude is an excellent thing to do when you're feeling down. Gratitude's an excellent thing to do when you just feel like, I have no Saturday morning cartoons. I have no idea even what I should be looking for. We have to change our idea of play. What difference would it make if you're leaving work and you're heading home anyway? What difference would it make if you ran and splashed in that puddle? But we don't because it's not proprietary and it's inappropriate and it's immature and blah, 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 blah. And I would just challenge you to open up your mind a little bit. There was a movie, just a silly movie called Yes Man that Jim Carrey did. And it makes me laugh because of the thinking of that movie is something that we would be so scared to do, to say yes. Now, I'm not suggesting go and say yes to everything, but what if we said yes to some of the things that we typically say no to, and there really is no harm in them? So what if you go to a movie on a Wednesday night? Why not? It's a chance to open up your thinking. Bring a little play into your life. Shake yourself out of that comfort box. I'm going to tell you from my most recent personal experience, where my family situation has changed. Oh, did that push me out of my comfort box? No longer the same routine and the same home and the same people around and the same knowing of what to expect every day. Not knowing where I was going to live, not knowing where I was going to wake up or where I was going to get food that day. I'm over those challenges, have some more stability again. However, I cherish and honor that time of stepping out of my comfort box because I realized these things. So I'm passing them on to you. It's an okay thing to get out of your comfort box. Makes you look at yourself a little differently. It's a good thing. Switching gears, sort of. Everything we talk about is always about the nervous system. And so infertility has been a topic, mainly because I don't even want to say we work with infertility. I wouldn't say, I'm not an infertility specialist. Why do people come for that? I just want to share that I look differently at it and why I look differently at it. When we are looking at the title of infertility, one, can I tell you that I dislike that? You're not infertile. It's not an issue of infertility. Like everything else in the body, it is about balance and function. To be called infertile, I don't like those untruths, and I don't like those negative suggestions that you then can attach to. There are three things that I look at that are a little bit different. My thinking on the challenges that come with pregnancy difficulties. I look at the immune system, I look at the nervous system, and I look at nutrition. No, I did not say that I look at hormones. It's a byproduct. Hormones are always the first thing that is typically looked at, and I don't like that. That's a byproduct. What I mean by a byproduct is all of the hormones that we have in our body, the reproductive hormones especially, they are dictated by our survival hormones. Our survival hormones are dictated by our nervous system. Our nervous system is constant perception, constant state of survival. You are going to be pushing out cortisol if you are in that state of sympathetic dominance. When you are having challenges, you're in a state of sympathetic dominance pretty frequently because now you're stressed and you're worried, you're wondering why it's not happening, you're pushing and you're fighting, and you're trying all these things, and your mind is going down that path. It's very hard to create a new idea and a new concept and a new pathway when you're expending energy to create those new pathways, and we want to be expending energy and creating new beings. The first thing we have to do is we have to get the nervous system to agree with us. It has to be in a parasympathetic state. If you don't know what the parasympathetic state is, program's an excellent place to be. We have to learn about that PADI state. We have to practice it. We have to do HRV training so that the body's natural default is to go into the parasympathetic state, live, act, and breathe from the parasympathetic state. We have to recognize when Sam has come in and make sure she's shifting back so that we are back in that parasympathetic state. That nervous system response, if you are constantly in sympathetic dominance, you are going to be taking progesterone from your body's needs, from your reserves, to create more cortisol. And that distorts your other hormones, which is why I don't look at hormones right away. I know your numbers are going to be off. It's not going to do us any good. So we have to look back at that root first. Second, the nervous system is going to dictate to the cells. It is going to dictate to the immune system. We are in a state of danger. Here's what I need you to do. We are not in a state of danger. Here's what I need you to do. And then the cells are going to play out that program. The nervous system will tell the immune system what it needs to do to be protective, oftentimes inducing a state of inflammation. Inflammation is not conducive to creating babies. The immune system, in a defensive place, pushes off things. The immune system gets heightened The immune system gets hypersensitive, doesn't like to receive new things that are implanted in the body. So second, we have to look at the nervous system's influence on the immune system, what kind of message they're getting. We have to look at the levels of inflammation. We have to look at the challenges that the immune system is facing, because we don't want the immune system in a rejective, defensive place. Lastly, of course, I look at eating. We have to have the right levels of nutrition for mom and dad, and enough to make up energy to create a baby. And there are many foods that we do not eat on a typical basis. We rarely take in herbs. Herbs are a huge part of our nutrition, jam-packed full of nutrition, jam-packed plant medicinals, huge source that we're not relying on. So just as with any disease or condition, I don't treat any disease or condition. These are all things that we have to look at and understand where the body is getting off track. Where did the nervous system get off track? The nervous system is going to dictate the actions of the rest of the body. If you are in that state of fight or flight, you are running from a tiger. You are absolutely not going to be thinking about making babies. Even if you could get to yourself into that place where you're thinking about making babies, chemicals aren't there. So yes, if you are faced with baby challenges, infertility challenges, a comprehensive panel is a great place to start. Probably and most likely we're going to put you in a program where we can spend time with you, get to know your body, retrain the things that need to get retrained, help the nervous system get off its boundless track going the wrong direction. Yeah, be a great place to start to have a self study done. We talked about nutrition as far as infertility. And like I said, it's not about the diagnosis or the disease name. It's about how do we get the body back to doing what it knows how to do. The female body, the efforts of the female body are to conceive. It tries to reproduce. We mimic the cells. It is just like the cells. The cell's job is nutrients in, waste out, reproduce. We do the same thing. Nutrients in is a huge, huge part of it. The nutrient targets that I use, we call it a BCA, body composition analysis, and we get your height and your weight and measurements from the STIKO, and that's why we do that at the beginning of your program. That allows us to calculate nutrient targets, where I want your proteins to be, where I want your carbs to be, where I want your fats and what kinds of fats to be. Those nutrient targets are what get put in your journals on Practice Better, so that when you enter what you're eating, it automatically goes to those target trackers, and you can look at those slide rules, and as long as they're all the way over to the right, you're getting all the nutrients that you need. You let the body do the rest. We have to put the right fuel in. If I go to the gas station and I'm putting diesel in, my nutrient target is not going to be way over to the right. Other nutrients aren't going to have gotten met. They're going to be over to the left. And now in addition to that, we have these toxins that weren't right for us. Can't put diesel in a gas engine. So we have to put the right things in. We have to make sure that it's enough for what our body is needing. If I'm trying to go to Texas, I'm not going to get there in 5 miles or 5 gallons. Same thing with, you can't get to the end of your day with only this much protein. Okay, we got to give the body the proper energy. And there isn't, the calculations are specific for you. There's not a generalized, oh, it's a 2,000 calorie diet and you'll be fine. Well, that just means you can eat whatever calories you want to. And now I just ate that Snicker bar for, 200 calories. I'm halfway there. It's put the gas in the gas tank. You don't have to do your journals on Practice Better every day. But if you put in what you typically eat, and then you look at your nutrient targets, you can see, oh, I'm really off in protein. Where can I add more protein? That's how you can use your nutrient targets. It will naturally guide you to the things that you should be eating, because you'll be like, I ate a bagel and I ate a Snickers bar and I drank Mountain Dew. Guess what? My calories are way pegged over, but oh my gosh, my macros, my proteins, carbs, and fats are way over here. How can I raise those? Okay, so I'm going to eat more of this, I'm going to eat more of this, I'm going to eat more of this. Now these targets are gradually going up, and you're figuring out what your body is liking in order to meet those targets in a way that is calorie supportive to your body. You'll find out, eat Snicker bar, get the high calories, but really low on all the nutrients. You'll start putting in the other nutrients, realizing you don't need that Snicker bar, and that was the thing that was pushing you over the edge and too high of calories. And it's an easy, cheap, well, cheap because you don't pay for it, you're in program, free way for you to learn what your body is liking and put in the right kinds of fuel. I can't tell you how many people with metabolic dysfunction that we see on a regular daily basis. It's why we include food functions in everything that we do. If we are nervous system challenged, even more so. So metabolic dysfunction is something that I work with really, really, really frequently. The easiest thing that you can do is start looking at your nutrient targets. If you do not have your nutrient targets on there, ask your coach or even Danielle up front. They can put the nutrient targets onto your journals for you. So easy help there. Last week, I mentioned the emotional integration panel. This panel is something that we do all the time in our Keep Watch program. Keep Watch program is how we give back to the service professionals in our community. It's how we support, we have their back of the police and sheriff's office and Department of Corrections and EMTs, dispatch. We have to keep a monitor on the nervous system, and we use the emotional panel to let us know the challenges that they're facing and the stressors of their diet, of their daily life. And the emotional integration panel is a great way for you to understand the concepts you're ruminating on, the emotions that you typically find yourself in. This is a great way to help find out what routines have you gotten in, if you're enjoying your life, if it's emotions that you're dealing with right now, or if there are things that were blocking you from the past. On an emotional integration panel, it'll tell you, this in the adult years, there's unresolved conflict, or in the child years, there's unresolved conflict. And it's an easy way to let you know if these are old things that you've been ruminating on and keeping in your brain from years and years and years ago. And it'll tell you exact concepts like, I'm not worthy, I am bad, I'm not worthy of success. It'll tell you concepts like that. An emotional integration panel, super inexpensive. I'm at 25, 45. We do that automatically at your A9. So if you're at mid-program assessment, you can get that done. You don't even have to ask for it. We automatically do it. If you are outside of program and you're joining us in groups, or you've already had your A9 done, but you'd like another one, it's easy to ask for another panel and pay the tiny little amount for that. I love to take the emotional integration panel, find the concepts that I'm still working on, do new cogs on each of those topics. And those new cogs, the things that you come up with at the end, are the goals and the goal choice thoughts that you want to be thinking. That now goes on your success image, the success image that you work on in A4. Do you see how I've made those little exercises tie together so you have a whole blueprint? Now you look at your success image and you are reading through that every day. You've got your little mantras and affirmations already, and then you've got action steps that you can work on. It's a whole system, in case you haven't figured it out. So yes, if you want an emotional integration panel, you guys, you can get panels anytime that you want to. The additional panels, like I said, they're $25 or $45, and it's super easy. Any of the girls up front have the requisition form, and you can ask for any of those. But those of you coming up to your A9, your mid-program assessment, you will be having those automatically done. And we will talk more about the new COG process then at your mid-program assessment. Okay, let's see. Nutrients and targets we talked about, infertility, brain fog. Brain fog is frustrating. It is also an excellent cue that you are spending too much time in SAM. In SAM state, you're running from a tiger. You're not thinking about making babies. You're not thinking about digesting your food. Those chemicals and those pathways and those systems have shut down in order to conserve energy for the things you have to do, which is running from the tiger, getting energy to your muscles, getting oxygen to your lungs. And your brain will compartmentalize and save energy by only using the pieces that it needs to. And memories are not important. Numbers, details, and facts are not important if you're running from a tiger. If you're running from a tiger, it's like having too many tabs open on your computer screen. If you're having brain fog, it's like having too many tabs open on your computer screen. And so that's a good time to sit in stillness and actively picture that screen with all the tabs open and go back to each thought. Finish that thought, close out that thought. Okay, I got to write a list for this thought. Okay, now that tab can close. Oh, I've got to do this. Let me add that to that list. Okay, I'm worried about this. I'm just going to write a little worry list so that can get off my brain. I don't need to do anything about that. I'm just going to have this little worry list until all of those little tabs are done. And now you're able to sit in a place of peace and stillness. When you are breathing and you are thinking about where my heart is, you've already dealt with what your brain is thinking. Now you can focus that energy over your heart. And you can feel just gratitude. And you can feel just love. And you can feel peace and ease because you've already dealt with all these little tabs and you've set them aside for later. Your brain's in a good place. Now you're connecting the heart chakra to the upper chakras. You're connecting your brain energy with your heart energy. Now your brain will start to compartmentalize back together again. Decompartmentalize, is that a word? It'll start bringing things back together in your brain so that they can work in unity. And then you won't have the feelings of brain fog. So, hope that was helpful. I would love to hear anybody who tries some of those invitations, some of those little exercises and thoughts, and let me know how it goes. Fill out group session forms and let me know how it went in your group session form. And we'll see you next week. Bye, everyone.